No one is talking about Artmage. And this is exactly why you should utilize that fact and win big with one of the most underrated decks of the format. This is the master guide to Artmage. Before we jump into the combos, this is the deck list that I've been using recently and probably going to continue using for the rest of this format. This is my Artmage Fiendsmith deck, and I know that Fiendsmith is maybe a little bit questionable to you guys watching this, but let me tell you, once I made the switch and added the Fiendsmith engine, honestly, it's been like night and day. It's really been like night and day because this deck is just the first wave. If you want to play it, you're going to have to make some, sacrifices. And since it's not like a tier 1, very easy to play, explosive engine, I think Fiendsmith is really, really the way to go. I'll run over this deck quickly so I can show you the combos, but again, this has been working for me really, really well. It might not be able to contend with the strongest decks, but honestly, it could. I've been winning with this deck versus Vanquish, versus Yummy, K9, whatever. It's capable of doing that. But again, this is just a wave 1 deck. 3 Medias is mandatory. I do play one of each of the Artmage names. The only one I would consider bumping to 2 is Grappler. However, I can't really justify adding another one and cutting a non-engine piece. Your non-engine is really important in this deck. We are playing relatively a lot because you have to be able to go second. This deck can actually go second pretty well, but I just can't cut any non-engine piece for Grappler. But if it was another name, it would have been Grappler, because Grappler is the only one that can give you actual access to Medias because it can search Assault. 2 Owl, again, I said it previously, you can't play 1 because you have to resolve it multiple times, but you don't need to play 3, so we just play 2. 2 Perulia, 1 Lacrima, and 2 Fiendsmith Engraver. The thing is that you don't really go into Moon that much. You can't really afford to go to Moon, otherwise you get rid of a lot of types on your end board, and this is why we need to play a little bit more Fiendsmith cards, and we play them with Sanct because while Lurie and Tract could be you could use Tract to discard off the field spell, but it's just an additional brick or an additional card, and we want to cut down as many engine cards as possible for non-engine. 3 Ash, 3 Fua, 3 Droll, gonna be very good next format as well. 3 field spell, the only maybe consideration I could do is maybe go to 2, but I think this is this in a spell is a very good starter. And just placing this on the board already creates pressure because your opponent is going to think that you have a name in hand if they know the deck a little bit, and that the next chain I can already special summon and then I start playing. So even applying that pressure, even though this card doesn't do anything on its own, is really important. And also the extra normal summon Medias is the thing that can get you into Moon. So it's really important to note that. Assault, I usually like to start with this if I can. It does play into Droll, but it does also protect my field spell later, so that's good. Succession is the fusion spell. You have to play this card. It's good on its own. Obviously, fusion, quick effect on your opponent's turn, but you have to play this card because after turn 1, this one is the only card that enables you to recycle your names. It's non-negotiable. 1 Tactics 1, called by 3 Alteration, it places the field spell, and then 3 Imperm, 1 Awakening. This card is amazing, especially the Graveyard effect. Bounce your own Artmage monster, then non-target pop your opponent's monster. Beautiful. And then Fiendsmith in Paradise works really well with the field spell. For side options for the next format, I think Prank Drops could be a good solution, especially against Yummy. You just special summon this, attack over their guys, then get an extra pop, and you have it normal, or your board is free. Super Poly could also be good, and then Blackout laughs against any of the decks, to be honest, because you have a way to get this to the graveyard, and then you can just take out the, Yummy Snatchy, or the K9 interruption, or the Xyz interruption, or whatever. For the extra deck, you have to play 2 Deactoris, because again, this is your grind game. You can't play 1, you don't need to play 3, you have to play 2, and then 1 Nerva. Your opponents will still not know that they have to chain to this card in the graveyard, because this card in the graveyard turns into this, blowing up their entire board. People still don't know that. Take advantage of that. That is how the game is played. 1 Chimera, you're going to make this. And then Fiendsmith stuff. 1 Fawn. This is the only flex spot in the deck, I think. But it's also good because it gets rid of stuff. Caesar, Baguska. You can make a Baguska very easily in this deck because Medius is level 4. You get an extra normal. You have your Molcharmies. It's very, very easy to make. Like turn 3, if you need to, special summon a Medius from grave by its own effect. It doesn't lock you. You normal summon another Medius. It's really good. Chaos Angel, besides the Fiendsmith stuff, so you have like Engraver and Medius that you can make. Obviously Engraver and Lacrima, but also Litera and Fine Mill are 3 and 7 lights. So in a pinch, you can make this card and it's really, really good in this deck. Fiendsmith stuff. And yeah, let's jump in and show you a few combos just to explain to you how the deck works. This deck doesn't have any 1-card combos because you always need to extend with the field spell. However, this is going to be Medius and a spell trap. So this is always how it starts because the owl eventually gets you to your spells and traps. It's going to add alteration. You want to always add alteration and not directly the field spell because this is another interruption in the grave. This negates. And again, putting this in the grave means that you can add Litera. Litera can bring this back from the grave. So having that extra spell in grave is really important. So don't just jump into the field spell. This is how you're meant to play this. And now we're just going to get it back for free. You just needed 1 more. We're going to get it back, then discard it, then go for Graffler, then activate Graffler, set Succession. And again, like usually you will have another name, right? The reason why we want to do that is specifically because like this is just like the 2-card combo. Potentially and hopefully you also have another spell or trap in hand, which means you just have Artmage Fine Mill on top of this board. And with 2 spells and traps and Medius, this is sort of how it's going to look like with additional Fiendsmith access, which you rarely go into Moon here, but yeah. This is going to be the same thing. We're going to search for Alteration. Alteration is going to place the field spell. Now we get an extra card, basically. Litera, special summon, bring back. This is very, very free. Go for Graffler again. Again, we need to set up Succession here just to make sure we have follow-up. Then we're going to get Fine Mill. Special summon, draw card. Then with these 2 specifically, this is the weakest interruption just because spells and traps are not that popular. Like popping them, it is a good one, but still. And we use Deactorus because we can summon it back on our opponent's turn with Litera, right? And it's going to give us the amount of types that we need, right? So here, because we use the Academic Arcane Arts Acropolis, we can't actually go into the Fiendsmith combo here. But we just can and on Requiem to summon Lacrima. Lacrima, dump the trap, that's another interruption. And then basically what you do is just bounce the Litera back to hand, summon the Deactorus back on the field. You can also fuse, get another effect, and you have basically 4 cards in hand in addition to that. This one's going to be Assault plus Graffler. So this is going to give us the access to Medius here. We go on to our usual lines, and here we're going to add the trap. Now Graffler is able to set this theoretically, right? You could do the same thing with the Alteration, but we do want to end up bringing back the trap with Litera here. Dump it again, Fin Mill, and this is going to be your basically like your end board every single time, maybe besides the trap. The trap is a huge interruption, but here you also don't have Succession, so you can also choose whether you want Succession or if you want Awakening in this end board. Usually, again, it's not a 1-card combo deck, but this is also a line that you can do with 2 cards that seemingly aren't that powerful. All right, so this one is going to be Assault plus Alteration. It's kind of similar to the previous combo. I'm going to go ahead, summon Medius. Medius gets Owl, Fusion Summon, Deactorus, search for the Arcanes. And then we can dump this, get Litera, summon it back, and of course, recycle the Varnish. Now, because we control the field spell, we can get Graffler onto the field. And then this one can set Succession. And again, this is just a 2-card combo. You have another spell and trap, you have the full board, and the ability to fusion. And lastly, this is going to be Grappler and the field spell, Set Assault, and here basically we get access to all of the other cards. Now you have to remember that this deck requires extra cards in hand, so all of these combos may seem a little bit lackluster, but it is specifically because of the fact that you always have more cards in hand to extend with the field spell. So basically we're going to make a DDD here before we start playing and before we activate the field spell. Now we're locked out of the extra deck. So Lidra is going to summon. Now we have access to the Arcturus, right? This is going to be like your most powerful combo. Dump, Finmill summon, draw a card, and again, usually you will have Grappler here to extend with the fusion. It might be like, depends on what you want, right? If you want some more removal versus like a deck like Yummy, for example, you get Grappler here, which gets Succession. And these have been 5 Artmage combos and a little bit of a deep dive into the deck. Please write me down below in the comments if you have any other combos or lines that you are exploring. And as always, if you like this type of content, make sure to subscribe, like the video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.